Here we go. You're gonna get it now. So we take it one day at a time and get everything moving. Hope you've done your random acts of kindness in the most recent of times. Yeah. Okay. You really need to. You really, really, really need to. You really, really, really need to. Love's in need of love every day. Yeah. Surprise that person, even the person you don't like. you know, yeah. Jared come in here this morning and he ain't do his random act of kindness. He come in here eating food and he ain't bring none for me. Okay. So anyhow, for whatever that's worth, folks. Okay. That's how it has been sometime. Okay. Anyhow. Looking at what's going on in the world, there's so much going on, and then there's so much going on right here in this little world of the Virgin Islands. Yeah. And we're going to be talking about the community calendar. Around 8:30, we have a guest coming in here this morning, and then again at 9. I believe I got some teacher friends coming in, some school friends. Yeah. From folks at St. Croix Central High School. Yeah. Those of you saw the if you saw the prom red carpet event that they put on there, wow. I mean, first of all, you look at the dresses and the attire and everything else, and you know they go all out, and that's great. It was fantastic. The entourage that some of them had coming in and from limo to sound system and dancers in advance to usher them in and all kind of stuff. Man, it was. So if you're interested in seeing it, you can do a search on YouTube. Just do a search for CHS Prom Red Carpet. You can also do Complex Prom Red Carpet, and you'll find what we have there from the Complex Prom. The Central High one was live, and hopefully next year that's how both of them will be live. But hey, that's what happens when people work together. When we work together, we can make all kinds of interesting things happen. Yeah. All right. Seeing that it's about 9 minutes after the hour, and let me see. Do I have internet here? I'm saying something about that. So, but
yeah, something wrong with the internet.
Yeah. So I've got my song I got to play as a matter of responsibility while we figure all of that out. Okay. Alright, so let me go ahead and do what I got to do. But folks, you know, can't talk while I'm on the air, at least not on the phone. Oh yes. So be it. Yeah.
Okay, come up.
It's up now. Okay, folks, we streaming here on YouTube with Douglas Canton, and we also streaming from the folks here at WSTX. We're going to be having Dr. Kahina coming in to talk about this conference that's going to be going on here in St. Croix for the first time in umpteen donkey, whatever kind of years you want to come by, dog years. It don't matter. It's been a long time, and hey, it's an opportunity for us to put our best foot forward. Okay. And I'm looking forward to having some of the folks here from Central High to come in, and we can talk about something that's going on with regards to our teachers. You know, I like to make sure that the good news gets around. One of the things that you find out about the Virgin Islands is that if you got something bad going on, you're going to hear about it. You know, got all kind of good thing going on, and somehow or the other you won't hear about it. And I just want to make sure that all the word gets out. Okay, so let's look to jump right into the community calendar because we've got a lot of things going on, and I want to make sure that we get to it. Okay. Now, folks, don't make the mistake and ever cross Doug to tell him that that ain't got nothing going on in St. Croix. Okay, because we got the Caribbean Studies coming up here. Okay, that Dr. Kahina will be coming in, and Chancellor Kahina will be coming in to talk about, and that's going on. Okay, so I want you to be aware of it because it's a thing of both participation and hey, prestige, I think. Anyhow, so anyhow, let's move on down. What day it is, Gerard? Oh, that's right. Morning, Gerard. Big up the people then, man.
Morning, dog.
Don't let me have them saying
Good
that
morning.
don't make them people next door jealous now, no. Even they morning.
Good morning to the listening public. Yes, Gerard is in the house.
All right. Good to have you here this morning.
And they ain't got nothing going on.
Ain't got nothing going on?
No, not for us to get to.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyhow.
They have the whole thing after hours when they know disabled people can't reach there. Don't get me started with that one.
All right. Anyhow, just for those people who are following what's going on with the St. Croix Landmark Society, this past Saturday they attempted to have a board meeting, but it looks like it's going to have to be rescheduled, hopefully sooner than later. So we're waiting to hear the new date so we can all as members and interested people in the public participate in what's going on with the Landmark Society. All right. Okay, this past weekend we also had the Battle of the Agencies went on out there on the East End at Kramer Park. Yeah, the place was jam-packed. It was well attended, my son, and the cooking going on. And Battle of the Agencies, I wonder if this was a fitness battle or a food battle. Everybody had their grill out there doing something with son. One thing for certain, if you were out there, you weren't going to starve. Okay? Somebody was going to feed you.
Well,
and then
when you're being athletic, you don't get hungry. You know?
That too. But I saying they took the loaves and the fishes and they were ready to feed the multitude. Okay.
Hey, it happen, man.
It happens. That's right. That's right. And then of course down in the west you had 10 Sleepless Nights and Vio and the masqueraders and the quadrille dancers and the Moko Jumbies all down there in a big beach party, my son. Okay, Fort Frederick Beach, yeah.
Oh yeah? How come me know about that one there?
You ain't know about that one there?
No.
Okay, alright. I ain't want nobody come up and accuse you again, you know. Okay? No, that one should have been outside your coffee. Anyhow, so it'd have been alright.
So. Mr. Canton.
Lord, folks, if I hear any funny song in here and thing like ting knocking or whatever, you understand? It's like I am under attack, okay? So come
Mr.
to my rescue,
Canton.
please.
Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
And also we had the sneaker gala and auction for Claudio Marco School in Frederickstead. Yep. So we had quite a very active weekend last weekend in that regards. Okay. Well, we got stuff coming up. For instance, we got the Memorial Day coming up here, and as the Virgin Islands Cycling Federation is got a Memorial Day group ride that they're have going on. Of course, that's to overlook the fact that on the 21st, the Sunday, they had a junior bike race and obstacle course thing going on there at the back. But coming up now on the 28th, they got the Memorial Day group ride, and it says Sunny Isle Annex. I guess that's a starting point. Alright, if you need more information from them, the Virgin Islands Cycling Federation, just call 340-332-6282. Alright, 340-332-6282 with regards to Virgin Islands Cycling Federation. Okay, and there's this organization Arch, okay, and they're reaching out to their young people and getting them rallied up in terms of protecting themselves right now. Yes, and they have a flyer here that says, in recognition of National Prevention Week, Arch Inc. presents National Prevention Week Art Competition. Okay, if you or someone you know have artistic talent, Jared, you think they're talking about me or what?
Yeah.
Anyhow, if you or somebody you know have artistic talent, enter our competition. And the entry rules and requirements are listed below here, and the deadline is May 31st. And they have a prize here for a Nintendo Switch. So if you are a gamer in particular and you could see yourself getting your hands on that free Nintendo Switch, not free, that you would work for it through your art, you know, in that sense.
So you mean I could enter then?
You know?
So I could go play a game?
Yeah. Alright.
You think they got accessible game?
You know, that's between you and Nintendo. But anyhow, National Prevention Week Art Competition. And how can you enter?
You got a fan or something blowing over there?
Yeah.
That's what I'm here.
Okay. But all the
yeah, I know, for the equipment.
right. That's not in the mics, yeah. Okay.
No, it's picking it up.
Oh. Well, then that means it coming through the mics we speak, especially mine, since mine points in that direction.
Yeah, it's picking it up. I was trying to figure out like
what it is. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and then I just realized
Okay. Well,
I'm hearing the
folks,
humming over there.
folks, just excuse us switching up there and talking about some of the laundry in here. Okay. Okay. But we're talking about National Prevention Week Art Competition and how to enter. And it says, create a poster targeting alcohol prevention for individuals ages 12 through 18. Yes, create a poster targeting alcohol prevention for individuals age 12 through 18. Okay, then go to the social media pages on Facebook, Protect Ourselves VI, okay, and like it, and then direct message your poster to their Facebook page, which is, as I said, at Protect Ourselves VI, and the entrance must be in grades 6 through 12. The deadline, I said again, is May 31st, and it got a brand new Nintendo Switch. Hey, if you got children that like to play them games, and maybe, you know, they've got that artistic talent too, you know, you could take the pressure off of you to buy a Nintendo Switch and have them work for it through the art, right? Good thing. You gotta be creative, folks. Anyhow, moving right along, okay? Via Business Solutions will host the next St. Croix Chamber of Commerce Business After Hours, and that's 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. today. Yes, Thursday. It starts with Thursday. That's right. Via Business Solutions hosting the St. Croix Chamber of Commerce Business After Hours, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. today, May 25th. Okay, at the Via Customer Experience Center. They want you to come and discover the power of enhanced connectivity and learn how Via Solutions can help maximize your collaboration, engagement, and growth as it showcases a few of its partners in the Virgin Islands during Small Business Month. So, Via, of course, is one of the providers / carriers here in the Virgin Islands. So, we got other carriers too. So, it's like, hey, let's see what they're going to do in terms of making sure we get the word out and the opportunity to communicate with them at the same time.
They're supposed to be the main provider. But, oh, Doug, before you finish, did you know that this week is Public Works Week?
Yeah, I saw that. Public Works Week. I mean, they're going to fix all the potholes this week or what?
No, my boy. You know what they were doing? A heap of public works truck and police car have motorcade up and down the street yesterday.
Mashing up the road then, boy?
Yeah, I thought somebody did. I thought somebody died.
No,
I said, but what happened?
No.
Who dead?
Okay, Public Works, we love you.
They say
Might beat up on you, but we love you.
They say nobody in there. This Public Works Week, and that's the motorcade.
Okay.
A heap of hand blowing and thing up and down the street. I'm like, what the hell?
Oh my goodness. Anyhow.
But they didn't even put it out there, like, you know. I know
Well,
this is Police Week.
we have to celebrate Public Works, even though we don't have to beat up on them sometime, you know, rough them up sometime, you know, shut them down sometime, whatever we gotta do. But we gotta celebrate Public Works.
They kind of like whopper, right?
Yeah, kind
Well, you love to hit.
like Wappa, you know, Wappa were out there cooking the other day and win championship and thing. Okay, so it's like, you know, they don't do some things right? And they could do more things right. We just have to stay on top of them. Okay, but in the case of Public Works, you know, one of the things while we're at it here, since we're talking about business solutions and business needing infrastructure and everything else and so forth and so on, right? There are certain things that haven't happened here in decades. Sad to say that the road from Williams Light going down to Wim is finally being fixed. You know, lighting and all kind of thing and drainage and everything else. But we know it's decades old, a decades old problem that's just getting fixed. But we're happy it's getting fixed. Another thing that's just getting fixed is we have the folks at the Virgin Islands Department of Health, and the old hospital in Frederiksted belonged to the Department of Health, but the Department of Health had no money to fix it up. So me and my fast self went and get in the Senate and transferred it to the clinic, Ingeborg Nesbitt Clinic, Frederiksted Healthcare Inc. Okay? Because they could have gotten federal monies to fix it up, and through a memorandum of understanding with the folks at Department of Health could have had access to the building also. I mean, a win-win situation, right? Well, certain people were very much upset about that, and they ended up transferring it back to Department of Health, and there it sat for 20 years.
Because the mindset is you're giving away we think.
No, it wasn't about giving away. It was
I know that.
getting the federal money to fix it up.
Understood.
But anyhow, that's 20 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
But
20
it's
years
the
ago.
mindset of people.
I don't let that one go.
Yeah.
And you could go back in the books and see who passed the legislation to give it back to the Department of Health, so you're going to sit there for 20 more years, right? Okay? So, here we are 20 years later, and this administration has gotten federal funds to fix up the hospital in Frederiksted, the old hospital in Frederiksted. Now, it took Maria and COVID for us to get that money. And 20 years ago, nobody had seen Maria and COVID coming.
Yeah, well, it took Irma, Maria, and MAP, then COVID.
Okay?
Because if MAP wasn't as articulate as he was, we wasn't gonna get none of the money we got.
Okay. Well, that's the way it works sometimes. That's the way it works sometimes. So, you know, the reality is that we have to be happy that we got these monies, that this hospital building is finally going to get fixed up in Frederiksted, because it was quite an eyesore. Okay? And it's quite a slap in the face to all the nurses, doctors, and people who, you know, dedicated their lives to health care back in the day. So I'm so happy to see that something is coming about. But it's unfortunate we had to wait 20 years because of politics. Okay? That's it. That's it. And I just want to point those things out. So even though sometimes some of these agencies they need a little roughing up, we have to celebrate when they do things that are going to be beneficial. Now, waste management come and digging up here in Christianstead to fix pipe and thing, right? Gerard, I so happy they're digging up the road because after they dig it up, it's smoother than when they didn't dig it up. Okay? You could actually make it through a particular intersection now on King Cross Street without hitting oil pan and busting a hole in it.
You mean to tell me when since they dig it up, right?
They mash it up better.
They mash up road better than
they
the
mash
road.
it up better.
The road better than when it was asphalt is what you're saying?
But you know,
Lord, Papa.
Look. I have the in competition with WAPA. Remember when WAPA was digging up Christianstead and Frederickstead to put in pipe?
Well, remember.
That's the last time them pothole get mashed up better.
But Doug, remember in December we had a big laugh, right? When the Secret Service said that they couldn't bring the beast because of the road? Because of the road. Remember we had a big laugh about that? Okay.
Oh, Lordy. People, only on WSTX, okay? Only on WSTX, all right?
Imagine, our road make history.
Let me tell you something.
It's so bad that the president beast couldn't drive on it.
Okay.
Okay?
But coming full circle back to what we're talking about here, okay? They mashing up road better. Okay? So after they mash up the road, it's better to drive on. You know, I am thankful to the Creator for every blessing. Okay? I'm thankful for every blessing. And I look forward to when them and the telecommunications digging and everything all completed and they pave it once and for all so it could go 20 years well paved. At least. Anyhow, so, hey, so much for always being positive, you know? Even in the midst of whatever else can go on, you gotta be positive. Okay. Continue with the community calendar. I see here that the VI Performing Arts Summer Camp is back. And next Thursday, I gonna have a listing of all the summer camps stuff that I have been able to find. So if you have summer camps going on, send your flyers to WSTX. When your people there out on the road, have them bring in a flyer to WSTX. Tell them give it to Doug. Okay? The new Doug in the morning with Gerard. Okay? But anyhow, please, so we can help you get the word out and that parents and guardians and other interested people can take advantage of all the different opportunities for summer camps and summer activities. Anyhow, back to the VI Institute of Performing Arts. Their summer camp is back. Boys and girls between the ages of 3 to 12. Okay, they ask you to inbox them for more information. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you this, right? I just happened to run across this, and they have a phone number here, and that's what I can read to you. Okay, so 340-514-8629. 340-514-8629, and I'm gonna give them a call also because I want a full flyer so I could tell you what all they have going on. But you know, among the things that they list: ballet, jazz, cultural dance, gymnastics, cheerleading, voice, arts and crafts, field trips, guest speakers, modeling, academies, baseball skills, hip hop. Hey, all right, so they're gonna have an end of camp mini production, so it's gonna be fun. Not only are they gonna play and have a great time, but at the end they're gonna perform for the parents and guardians and everybody else who want to be there and see and support these young people. All right, good thing. All right. Now I see a community outreach spring into summer. Okay, at DC Canigata Ballpark, and that's May 29th, Memorial Day. All right, and what it is the VIPD Crime Prevention Weed and Seed in collaboration with the Governor's Millennial Council presents this thing called the Community Outreach Spring into Summer Fun Day. They're going to be at Canagator from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, okay? And they're going to have basketball tournament, kickball, dodgeball, sack racing, and a whole lot of things going on. So mark your calendar for the 29th for this fun day for Memorial Day, all right? As VIPD Crime Prevention Weed and Seed in collaboration with the Governor's Millennial Council. Okay. All right. Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. It's got a whole bunch of stuff going on over this summer. Yes, textile art, clay play, summer series with art with Amy Gibbs, pottery with Sarah Lee Hayes, all kinds of stuff going on throughout the summer. So keep Caribbean Museum Center of the Arts in your mind in terms of the things that you're going to get your children positively engaged in. Yeah. Okay, and while I'm at it, I'm going to throw out a question here, and maybe somebody out there can help us. 7730390, 7730490. But out there at the yacht club last year, they had a sailing camp, a summer camp that taught young people how to sail. And in fact, I had some friends come all the way down from Georgia in the Atlanta suburb area, and they came down here and they brought their young people with them and they put them in this camp, and they had a bang up great fantastic time. So I'm just asking if the folks that out there are going to be having that summer sailing camp again. Okay? All right. Good thing. Now, this weekend, this weekend, the 27th, there's a USVI Caribbean Music Festival going on. Yes, you know, they've had other performances as we go along. And it's coming, folks. It's coming. This 27th. So, just know that they're going to have some real great entertainment coming into St. Croix, so that as we move along, hey, we get this reputation for these kind of things going on, and more people start flying in to check them out, and more opportunities for the local bands to back up and participate and showcase also. Yeah. So just know that one of his special guests is a gentleman by the name of Lee Hogans, and he is, from what I see, a trumpeter, and he's going to be there among the others. So Saturday, May 27th at the Frederickstead Promenade. Yep, the festival grounds are going to be open at 5:30, folks. Yep. Good thing. So plan for it. It's going to be going on. All right. Good thing. So, conch season close June 1st, folks. Okay, just so you know, you're going to be out there catching conch. You're going to be out catching conch after June 1st. Okay, they will lock you up or fine you significantly. Okay, all right. Good thing. So, moving right along, I see this press release here for immediate release from all the way back in April. Caribbean Studies Association 47th International Conference to be held in St. Croix, Virgin Islands, June 5th to 9th. June 5th to 9th. They're supposed to have a guest here today. I think that's what they're supposed to be talking about. But anyhow, we're going to see. All right, Jared, we're going to see.
You going to see. I'm going to hear.
You going to
Blessed morning.
Oh, Lordy me. I understand, Jared. You can't admit that you could see, because then everybody going to automatically win their lawsuit against you.
What lawsuit? They going to bring them on. You ever hear about a slap suit? Huh?
All right. High road now.
You hear about slap suit, right?
I'm going to have to call Deborah to work on it.
No, I don't win my slap suit.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, also I want to mention this is going on today from 4:30 to 8:30. It's by AARP, and you can register. But before you even think about registering, you need to know what it's about, right? It's about estate planning. There's an estate planning conference going on today. It's going to be at the UVI Great Hall on St. Croix and in St. Thomas UVI ACC building. Right? Now, they're going to be talking about wills, trusts, power of attorney, probate issues, other related matters. Yes, folks, we need to know. Don't bury your head in the sand, because one of these days they're going to bury you. And when they bury you, it's what your descendants going to have to deal with based on what you do or don't do. No. All right?
What time it is again?
From 4:30 to 8:30 p.m.
You see what you're talking about?
Yeah, I know. And Vitran don't be running. Okay? So that's, I know what you don't be talking about. Okay? All right.
You exclude us.
Anyhow, I'm not sure that it's not streamed. And so it's one of those things where we need to touch bases with them and find out if it's going to be streamed or not. Because this is something that even if you're not there to ask a question, you can be there virtually to at least take in the information. Because I'm sure this will be done again at some point in time. That's happening today.
That's all well, dog. But what happened to those who can't stream?
That's a whole nother story there, Jared. I am right there with you. Okay?
I mean,
I'm trying to make sure that the good survive despite the fact that the perfect might cause their demise. Okay?
For me, I could improvise, but my thing is the person that can't.
You don't watch TV and post and
my thing is I was a person that can't do it.
Okay? I understand. You are showing off. I understand what you're saying. No. I know it's a genuine concern, and it's something that we as a community have to become more attenuated to, because the more we keep projecting this thing of social media as the answer, we have to remember that when I go out and I do my videotaping, is people still will be asking me for a DVD, all right? And that's not to make fun of anyone. That's their medium, okay? That might be their generation. That might be whatever, okay? But if it's not at the dichotomy, let's say, between house and cat and car. It ain't that big of a jump. Okay? They made the investment, they have the equipment in the house and everything else. And it's one of those things. So, anyhow, moving right along. So, it's now 20 minutes to the hour of 9. My 9 o'clock anticipated guest is not coming again, so we have some flexibility. We have Dr. Chensira Kahina here in the house with us, and she's going to be talking about a conference that's coming up here on St. Croix, folks.
Yes.
After how many years?
49.
49 years.
Wow.
Oh, Lordy be. Okay? Yes, an opportunity for us to put our best foot forward and have them thinking about, hey, when we gonna come again? And who else say, what? That's where I went. We want to go there too. Okay. All kinds of good things can come out of it. Okay. So, as we segue in a minute here, I just want to remind you folks that Miss USVI, yes, every year it is a new one, and the search is on. You could be the next Miss UVI. And I'm going to protest. Where's Mr. UVI?
They used to have one, I just gonna say they used to be a Mr.
I know. And that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I gonna protest. Who should I protest? The men?
You could run.
Why not? Why not?
Oh my.
Mr. USVI.
I like how you are.
I look good. I got some talent. Okay, I could rein in my talking a little bit long enough to win a contest. What do you think?
You asking my opinion?
No.
Off the air, please.
No. Only on WSTX, folks. Only on WSTX. Hey, look. All them comedy show at night, okay, that ain't going on now because they got a strike going on and everything else. And they don't listen to us, and come up with punchline and thing for their show, okay? So, only on WSTX. All right, good thing. All right, Customer Appreciation Day every Tuesday at the theater, folks. Only $5 to watch the movies. I think it's the non 3D or whatever movies. But anyhow, it's the same movies. They'll have them with special features and non-special features as far as how they look. But hey, it's like when I watch a DVD or I watch a 4K screen, it is the movie that counts. Unless they're side by side, I can't tell the difference. I look good.
I got a question for them though. I wonder what's my price.
Huh?
I wonder what's my price.
That's your price? Okay. I don't know about your price. The only price I know about is the one on TV, $9.99. the 3 P's price. Anyhow.
They kind of said $5, right?
Yeah.
For the non 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened though? What's the price for the non visual?
You see you? You see
No,
you?
that's a valid question.
I'm always out there to find a bargain, okay?
No, that's a valid question.
Okay.
I can't see the screen.
All right.
You gain them a discount. So what about me?
Okay.
Do I get one?
And the last thing on the agenda we're going to talk about before we're going to get to Dr. Kahina here is that the AARP, who also is one of the sponsors for the we just did it a second ago, let me tell you, the estate planning conference, okay? So they also have a movies for grown-ups screening, and the movie they're screening is About My Father, and that's on Friday, May 26th at 6:30 p.m. at the St. Croix St. Thomas Theater. So find out about that. Are you a member of AARP? And if not, hey, check it out. They'll have some nice movie night too. Okay. Anyhow, it's all good. There's so much.
They provide transportation?
I don't know. We have to talk to them and find out.
Well, I got to talk to Mr. Schuster.
Okay. Hey, that's what you do. Be an advocate. So, here we are. And folks, you realize we barely get through the weekend. And we got more thing going on. But we got more time later on to talk about what's going on too. Right now, I want to turn the table, turn the tide, turn the attention to our guest in the house, Dr. Shenzira Kahina, and she is going to be talking about the Caribbean Studies Association 47th International Conference to be held here on St. Croix. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Brother Doug. And it's always an honor and a privilege to be here at WSTX AM 970 because it allows us an opportunity to inform and share updates of what's going on here on St. Croix and throughout the Virgin Islands. I'm really humbled as I serve currently as the president of the Caribbean Studies Association, which is an independent professional organization that's devoted to the promotion of Caribbean studies from a multidisciplinary, multicultural point of view. And it's a primary association for scholars and practitioners that are working in the Caribbean region, as well as that includes Central America, South America, all those areas that surround the Caribbean coast. And again, this is an international association, so we have members literally all around the world that are focusing on things that are centered around Caribbean studies. Our theme for this year, which this is our 49th year as an association, and we really are excited about moving into the 50th year in 2024 during our Jubilee season. And during this 49th year, our conference theme is Transforming Our Caribbean, and I want persons to really simmer on that. Transforming our Caribbean. And the sub-themes are around sustainable educational research, cultural creatives, sacred traditions, economic development, and environmental solutions. We know that when we speak of transforming our Caribbean, it's not just a singular piece. So we have to include the creative arts and cultural heritage and preservation. We have to include education. we have to include research, and research that is grounded on data that really supports the transformation of the Caribbean and wider spaces, right? We know that all of this means very little if we're not here on the earth plane, so we have to look at things like environmental solutions for climate change, global warming, and the realities that we have, especially here in the Caribbean, around flooding, fire, hurricanes, etc., and just how we handle them. The other part that's really interesting in what we're doing is to make sure that we are culturally sensitive and engaging, and that we make these activities, they're going to be sessions. Yes, there'll be not so much lectures, but there'll be like 15 to 20-minute presentations over the course of the 5 days, with the exception of our plenaries. And I'll share some of that, as we move forward into this morning's session and interview. These sessions, we also include a book exhibition. So we are asking persons, if you have a new book that you've brought forward, feel free, become a member, and or execute the use of our day pass. We have a special day pass for Virgin Islanders. And I tell persons this is something that's not always done by CSA, because, we're always looking for membership first. It's like this is a membership-driven association. So people become members. As a member, you still pay to register. But we have a special, I shouldn't say but, and we have a special consideration, since we've had some significant support from various agencies and entities, inclusive of the Office of the Governor here in the Virgin Islands, so that we can afford to be able to have a very subsidized cost. It's $25 per day for the day passes, and that way you can kind of peruse the calendar and the schedule and see which activities resonate for you. And we're in there from 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, with the exception of Thursday, where we're having an evening plenary from 6 to 8, covering the theme of Hubert Harrison and Caribbean radicalism, right? And that's being led by Dr. Carol Boyce Davies, a distinguished scholar of the Caribbean, specifically Trinidad, and she's a distinguished professor at Cornell University, and she'll be joined by a few other scholars that are going to have more of a discussion around Hubert Harrison, his work. It'll give us a chance to give a tribute to the late Dr. Jeffrey Perry, who is not a stranger to the Virgin Islands, has been one of the leading experts around all things Hubert Harrison, and it allows for us to really see how this very powerful Crucian historian, philosopher, activist, leader, and who was really instrumental during the Harlem Renaissance and many other, the UNIA movement and many other affairs. We're going to be able to share some of that as well. So I'd like to just kind of give an idea of why CSA is really important to Virgin Islanders and some of the persons that have been involved in CSA over the years. I'll start with the fact that here in the Virgin Islands, we are always involved in things that are centered around education, educational excellence, research, data-based analyses of our historical narratives, and of course always looking at things through a lens of cultural heritage that supports, respects, and highlights the traditions and the cultural milieu of the Virgin Islands. So being involved in CSA is really critical for Virgin Islanders and the wider Caribbean, and for persons any part of the world that are interested in being a part of this Caribbeanist or Caribbean. And I don't just say Caribbean, B-E-A-N, but Caribbean, B-E-I-N-G, vibration that is shared with CSA. It allows for the scholars and the academics to also highlight, what is it that we're doing all this research for, and what is it that we're really trying to bring together in this particular research? Why are we doing research on, for example, disaster capitalism, as is the case with some of our invited delegates who are gracing us with their presence, like Dr. Tammy Navarro? What are we going to be talking about when we speak about this 175th Virgin Islands Emancipation Plenary, where we highlight, how do we decolonize these narratives? How do we speak of emancipation in an empowering space? The fact that today, May 25th, 2023, is African Liberation Day, and the whole idea of African Liberation Day, as it's also been elevated to be called Africa Day, just Africa Day in of itself, this gives us an opportunity in this 175th VI Emancipation Plenary that is going to feature attorney Genevieve Whitaker, and again, human rights activist, UN fellow, former senator, amongst other pieces, dealing with youth in particular. We also have former Senator Myron Jackson, who's going to lead in with giving some of the historiography around all things VI emancipation and navigating from 1848 up into 2023. We're going to be joined by Dr. Rhoda Arundel, who is a former Minister of Governance out of St. Martin. And for those that may not recall, July 1st, 1848 is also an anniversary for St. Martin in regard to their emancipation, and she's going to speak on that through the lens of their One St. Martin movement and governance. And then we're adding to that so that we can have persons like Dr. Carlisle Corbin, who is an international governance specialist, an expert with the United Nations. He has served more than five administrations here in the government of the Virgin Islands, and he's going to be able to give us that anchoring, that grounding in his very diplomatic, always eloquent, and historically chronological frame. So we're excited, and again, I'm just sharing some of the pieces of why CSA is important to Virgin Islanders, because this is an opportunity after 49 years of CSA being in existence. This is the first time their international conference is being convened in St. Croix. I'm going to let that simmer for a second. 49 years, right? And the intention is so that, yes, they can experience, as our VI Department of Tourism says, St. Croix, a vibe like no other, and the Crucian hospitality, and the Crucian historiography, and the fact that St. Croix has been designated by the U.S. government as a National Heritage Area, and the wider World Heritage value, worth, and essence that's here in St. Croix as the cultural capital of the Virgin Islands. So I think I've kind of covered that part. I've already encouraged persons, please, if you're interested, you can go to CaribbeanStudiesAssociation.org, all one word, lowercase, CaribbeanStudiesAssociation.org, and find all of this information. And or you can, for those persons that use social media, we do have the day pass links in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And that way you can gather that information as well. I think it's also important when we talk about transforming the Caribbean, or specifically transforming our Caribbean. This is an inclusive, like, what are we going to do? Not just what I'm recommending, but because this is not a Dr. Chen activity. This is a Caribbean Studies Association initiative. It has a pretty dynamic team of persons. I always give an extra shout out to my program chair, Professor Megan Sylvester, originally out of Trinidad, currently teaching in like 5 different areas as a sociologist and a music sociologist of experience beyond measure in New York. And she has actually, been here in St. Croix, has worked with us for some considerable amount of time, alongside Jewel Nicombe, who is going to be making sure that the back room of all of the technical pieces and logistics are in place. I sent out a special note of thanks to Deborah Benjamin at the Women's Coalition and the support of the Women's Coalition of St. Croix under the direction of Dr. Clemma Lewis. I like saying that. Dr. Clemma Lewis. Our recent UVI honorary PhD recipient. They have been very instrumental to offering the support for the CSA as well, alongside Shalana Brown, who is currently working with the Virgin Islands Department of Education, serving as their director of their Division of Cultural Ed. And for those persons that think I talk too fast, it's just because I'm making sure I'm being cognizant of time, because there's a lot of information to be able to share.
Okay, well, I can slow you down.
Thank you.
Time is on your side.
Okay. Give thanks, Brother Doug. I appreciate it. Because sometimes we get very engaged in talking about this particular conference, because there's
right. Well, one of the things I would like you to do and have your press release, and on the second page there you have points of contact from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram and everything else and whatever. So if you could just talk a little bit about that, so that folks, while you're talking here, can tune in on that level also and see some of what's there.
Okay. When you go to the Caribbean Studies Association.org website, because everything that we're doing is pretty much so online. We do not have as much, and we do have some presentations, of course, here through WSTX, and I want to give a special shout out because WSTX Radio has really assisted us on the AM and the FM side to be able to get this message out. And we have certain things that are in some of the papers, but we also have a small listing of some of the plenaries and activities in St. Croix this week. So I want to send a special thanks to Susan Wall for making that happen quite last minute, because with them you have to 3 months, 4 months in advance. And we're very grateful. I think it's also important for people to know that many of these things, they have a cost. So that's what come, as much as we would like to do everything free and complimentary, we have really gone out of our way, and a lot of that responsibility fell in the office of the president, myself. And I want to just make sure that I encourage persons. You can also send, if you don't find it on the website, if you can at least send an email to president@CaribbeanStudiesAssociation.org. I'll make sure that there's, one of the members of the local organizing committee will be able to respond to you very quickly. A lot of persons, the reason we tend not to do the telephone piece is because these are persons' private telephone numbers, and a lot of times what was starting to happen is people were asking questions that you would get most of the information right online or via an email, right, if that's something of interest to you. And then, of course, we have persons that are just going to appear, because that's what some of our people do, and they will just appear at UVI because all of the proceedings are happening. We have a platinum sponsorship, and I definitely would be remiss. The Research and Technology Park, under the direction of their executive director, Peter Chapman, have really assisted us. I sent a special shout out to Amina Salim for really having her staff there, as the chief operating officer at the RT Park, for assisting us in being able to have, preliminary space that we're using for the convenings, because it's like 6 concurrent sessions happening for 5 days outside of our regular plenary sessions, outside of our author celebrations, outside of poster presentations, outside of a young scholars initiative that's going on. We're really trying to get younger people to be involved in CSA so that it can actually be sustained well into another 50 years. That's the whole idea. And we are very fortunate to have the opportunity to have so many different persons. We're like, well, who is your keynote? And our original keynote, the person saw the infomercial that we did earlier, was unable to come just because of CARICOM scheduling conflicts. So we had to humble to that. But we're very grateful to be able to have the support of CSA, by members in CARICOM, inclusive of, yet not limited to, Prime Minister Mia Mottley, the ambassador to Barbados, Attorney David Comisiong, and others, that have really assisted us. Dr. Hillary Brown, who serves as part of the CARICOM Secretariat as a program officer and leads the CARICOM Reparations Commission in regard to the organizational programmatic piece. Sir Hilary Beckles, Dr. Beckles, who was also the Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, in addition to serving as the chair for the CARICOM Reparations Commission. And I'm saying these names because these are the leaders in the region that have really assisted us in bringing this forward. But I want to kind of bring this back home in terms of persons that have, people are saying, well, how did you become president of CSA? And a lot of it was through the endorsement during my time as the Virgin Islands, as the inaugural director of the Virgin Islands Caribbean Cultural Center here at the University of the Virgin Islands. And my portfolio required that I establish stronger ties within the Caribbean Americas, and that I work very closely with all of the respective associations in the Caribbean, of which one of them that we've worked with from even before I served in that capacity at UVI has been the Caribbean Studies Association. So I also send a very special shout out to my former dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences, Dr. Kimmery Ingerman, for really giving me the thrust and the extra work to being able to strengthen, by giving me the formal endorsement of the institution. Again, the only HBCU in the Caribbean, always speaking of things that are tying the Caribbean Americas together. The University of the Virgin Islands, for giving me this opportunity to be able to not only serve on the executive committee, but to then serve as a vice president for a year, leading up to me serving in my current capacity as president and offering that support. The other part that I would be remiss in not saying would be that we've had former deans, administrators, chairs, and tenured professors and presidents of UBI that have served as presidents within CSA over the years. As I said, this is the first time CSA's international conference is happening on St. Croix. However, in 1981, when the university was the College of the Virgin Islands, it was hosted in St. Thomas. I think it's important to recognize that CSA presidents like Dr. Frank Mills, who's now, retired from the institution, along with Dr. Simon Jones Hendrickson, who assisted me in being able to do this particular work to the next level, along with his wife, Dr. Cora Christian. And I say this because Dr. Cora Christian was one of the rare presidents of CSA who came from a medical background versus a social science or humanities background, and has continued to support the Barbara T. Christian Literary Book Award to this day. I want to highlight that in honor of her very illustrious, well-respected sister, Dr. Barbara T. Christian, who represented some of the early African American, African Caribbean feminism, womanism, literary intersectionality scholarship in the Americas and throughout the world. And we also, Dr. Laverne Ragstor. And I'm just putting it out there. We have persons that are going to be sharing papers from UBI, specifically from the Orville Kent campus in St. Thomas, 45-year veteran of UBI, and I put it as veteran because anyone that lasts 45 years as a professor at UBI, I refer to as a veteran, and that's none other, and I call him Honorable, Dr. Vincent Cooper, who was celebrated for 45 years of professional service to the University of the Virgin Islands just this year. I think it's commendable that he, along with other scholars of the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences, are going to be sharing panel discussions around their research. And that, again, this is why CSA is relevant to the Virgin Islands, because Virgin Islanders are at the center of a lot of this work with CSA.
Caribbean Studies Association, CSA. See, you in that bubble, okay? You in that bubble. CSA, it just live, eat, breathe. CSA. Jared, we gotta, I guess, you wanna slide?
No, you don't gotta slide. Oh, no, we're good. We're small. We're small. We just look, we look big because you see all the ancestors. That's why I can't.
I can't see nothing.
Oh, what you see? I know you see. Listen, we don't want to disclose anything because we don't want anything to interfere. But he sees on a spiritual level that is beyond laser sound. Did you get that? He sees beyond a level that extends beyond laser sound, because he does almost tell me sometime that he feels me before I get around him. So it's okay. We're going to let them believe that you...
I pick up a familiar scent.
See? Okay, yeah, there we go. My oils. That's true.
No. That, but...
all right.
The one side of me on my left side here.
There we go. And we've been joined by... and I always say, I will continue to say Senator Genevieve Whitaker, because you earned that right. Likewise with Senator Doug Canton, you all earned that right. And
my
you all
former
just
boss.
And see, what's oh, that's it.
Good morning. Good morning. I just want to say good morning to Doug, Gerard, and I see, Doug, you got back your sidekick, your co-host.
Yeah.
it is good to
of course you say.
I keep it for a short while, but I want to always, to say good morning to the listeners and to Gerard. It's just great to see you, and thank you. And I keep on emphasizing, it's important that we support persons with disabilities. They're quite able, and I appreciate the work that Gerard did, not just for the office, but of course the extension of what we did for people with persons with disabilities. And to be here with special guests, Dr. Chinzira Kahina. And yes, happy African Liberation Day. And Dr. Chen, as I came up, to the studio, I do reflect on the fact that Dr. Chinzira, we worked well in the legislature, for example, specifically for African Liberation Day. Dr. Chinzira worked with me and the executive director, Ms. Sheridan, for the legislature, and to help to put on, African Liberation Day events, because it is about, organization and getting things together. So I thank her for that. And even also for the July 3rd, that was in 2021. where we had organized with Governor Bryan, holding a July 3rd Emancipation Day ceremony in Government House. But we're here today, and I'm really excited about Dr. Chin's leadership and all those responsible for bringing CSA here to St. Croix. It's very powerful. It is exciting. It's like, it just really brings forward the importance role that Virgin Islands plays in the wider Caribbean. And getting our young people, getting our community engaged in the process. I'm very excited to also be on the panel. I am also my hat that I wear, particularly today, is as the president of the Virgin Islands Youth Advocacy Coalition, and I'm really proud to say that we have restarted our initiatives centered both on curriculum reform as well as youth leadership. They get in this youth commission going forward, the Youth Senate, which is again, we find ourselves again, we have to push the legislature to, not reenact, but just kind of, in a sense, not reestablish, but just move it forward with the young people in mind in terms of them having their body to be able to exercise what they have to do. But I'm very excited of all who's coming. Dr. Carla Corbin, who's been a mentor of mine, all this, all the things I've done around the United Nations works, really from, just really helping me and mentoring me in that space. So I'm excited. So Doug, listeners, please sign up. Yes, you can get a day pass. Come for the whole entire period. I hope to see many people, which I expect to see, and I'm excited.
Thank you for that. And if I may, I'm going to just kind of run the gamut, because I would probably need to be a rap artist and have some music in the background to list all of the names, right? We got to be, you ready?
Right?
You ready?
Before you start, I want to ask you a question about your website.
Yes.
Is it ADA compliant?
I'm going to say that part of the portion that we've done for this year, I can't speak for the entire website.
Because I'm going to go on there.
I know you're going to go in there and you're going to make sure I know.
And I'm going to let you know.
Then you let me know. It's going to be you. It's going to be Yvonne Peterson from the Virgin Islands Developmental Disabilities Council. And it's going to be quite a few of you. I'm sure the VIU said will kick in. Right, because that was part of our challenge. And it was more of the challenge was just getting, say it diplomatically. Sometimes when you ask agencies to help you to do those things, they're not as forthcoming. So I'm sure that once you go to the website and you let us know what we did or didn't do, then I can say, the Honorable Brother Gerard said. You see how that works? Because I know you carry a big stick, long, not just the white one. I know. I'm clear. I got you. And we're making sure at our particular sessions, like that's been the piece of making sure that we have, ADL. We're doing our best to get all of that tightened up. We've made the requests. I can't force, drag people to come and do things.
So if I come, I'm going to have, I wouldn't have paper. I would have audio.
And audio.
CD.
Correct.
Or jump drive.
Correct.
Okay, great.
See, I'm working. I got
Somebody's learning.
No, you've been saying this kind of consistently. So after a while, I'll be like, I think I better make sure. So we have two teams that are assisting us in that arena. And just because of the timing, it's like the end of the school year for some, and it's the beginning of summer sessions and summer camps for others. That's been like part of the carryover, something we didn't navigate in terms of, because we prepared to have this conference from last year, and we just, some of that we didn't put in place. So, and if it's not available, I know that you'll let me know, and it will be available before you sit down in your chair inside of the lecture hall. How about that?
Okay.
Okay, sound like a plan. Thank
Sound
you
like
for
a
that.
plan.
So now that we've been reminded to make sure that we are completely ADA compliant, and we're navigating through that, on day one, we're going to have a plenary that starts at 8:30, and the title of that plenary is Transforming Our Caribbean. We have invited representatives of the Office of the Governor. We've asked Administrator Samuel Sanas, in the event that the governor is unavailable, because we did extend an invitation to Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Roach, and he wasn't available for that day. And we really don't want to overuse the governor, because he is hosting the closing ceremony on the 9th, on the Friday the 9th. So I try not to ask twice over, so that way they don't feel like I'm trying to give them extra work on top of work. However, for that opening plenary, we're going to be, joined by Prandell Gerard, the Executive Director of Chant, along with Professor Olasu Davis, environmentalist, agriculturalist, and UBI professor. And then we're going to have a luncheon keynote reception with Obi Egbuna. The title of his presentation will be Global Caribbean Education, Arts and Youth, and it's a comparative analysis of the work of his father, Obi Egbuna Sr., who was one of the first Nigerian scholars to be very active in the UK around that period of the Wind Rush, showing what was happening with Caribbean Americans in the UK, in the Americas. And alongside that, he's going to be sharing a film done by young people in his mass emphasis program on Maurice Bishop and his father, Egbuna. The second day, and of course there'll be sessions happening concurrently after, from like 10:30 all the way until 5 o'clock in the evening. And I think that will be a time where people will want to get bites for supper. And then we're going to have a invitational reception at the Cane Roots Art Gallery that evening. The lunch. So again, it's going to be fun. It's going to be work. It's going to be some intellectual exchange, but then we're going to have some fun activities so persons can really have a good experience of all of the nuances and the cultural resources here in St. Croix. On the day 2, Tuesday, June 6th, again, concurrent sessions that range from sustainability, economics, education, literature, cultural heritage preservation, science and technology, etc. The plenary title is Sustainable Caribbean Economic Development, Technology, Agritourism, and Research, and that's going to be led with Executive Director of the RT Park, Peter Chapman, alongside Dr. Chipo Baker Afefuma. She's a biotechnologist, a daughter of the Virgin Islands Caribbean. She has ABM Consultants, and then it's going to also include, and this was just confirmed this morning, so that's why certain persons that see the schedule, if you do see a change, just acknowledge this for day 2 plenary, where it's going to include Deanna James, President, Lady President more respectfully, of the St. Croix Foundation for Community Development, where she can actually lend her firsthand experience around philanthropy, its connection to sustainable economies, and so forth. We'll have a luncheon keynote reception, and this is very special for me because this is none other than Dr. Alexis Pauline Gumbs. She's an award-winning Caribbean poet, independent scholar, and activist. She's been really instrumental in the LGBTQ community, and I think it's important that people recognize this layer of inclusivity. She is also a mentee of Dr. Gloria I. Joseph, one of our very own now late scholars, who instrumental alongside Audre Lorde. So Dr. Alexis Pauline Gumbs will be doing a luncheon plenary on the legacies of Audre Lorde and Dr. Gloria Joseph. Day 4, Thursday, June 8th. The plenary will be in the evening. Again, all the plenaries are being hosted at the University of Virgin Islands Medical Simulation Center in their lectures hall. That particular plenary is on the legacy of Hubert Harrison and Caribbean radicalism. It's going to be moderated by Dr. Carol Boyce Davies. She's a professor of Africana Studies and Literatures and English at Cornell University. There will be a media tribute to the late Dr. Jeffrey Perry. He's an expert Harrison biographer, archivist, historian, and author, just recently passed. Dr. Brian Korba, who is an assistant professor of African American history at the University of Memphis. Dr. Brian Meeks, a professor of Africana Studies at Brown University, and myself. And I'm kind of the co-moderator griot speaking of these pieces and leading into that media tribute that I've created in honor of Dr. Jeffrey Perry. Now, what's really interesting is I jumped right over day 3, and I guess I saved that because one of the presenters is right here. So day 5, where the closing plenary is on scholarship grounded in our cultural arts and sacred traditions, and it's a media production with a live Q&A with Dr. Marta Morena Vega, who's the founding president of Creative Justice Initiative and art curator and a priestess, alongside Manuela Arceniegas, who's an ethnomusicologist, the director of Legacy Women, a philanthropy professional, along with being a priestess. And she's coming in the capacity this time live with a very powerful African, indigenous, spiritual drum ensemble. So I'm just saying you're going to see another layer of musicology in this presentation. and I'll be serving as I serve as the moderator. There'll be a luncheon, a keynote reception that Friday on ecotourism, entitled Caribbean Ecotourism Sustainability in Our Youth, and that will be done by the CEO of Jungle Bay Resort, Samuel Raphael, a name that's very familiar here. Now, what's interesting is that on day 3, that hump day, Wednesday, June 7th, that particular plenary, which is sponsored by the 175th Virgin Islands Emancipation Commemoration Committee, under the leadership of Carol Burke. We're very fortunate to be able to have their digitization chair, former Senator Myron Jackson, lead into offering that historiography. He will be joined, as I said earlier, with our very own attorney, Genevieve Whitaker. And she can take that to a whole other level, from the UN and the youth piece and her international experiential background on all things emancipation that are linked to self-determination, reparatory justice, restitution, and a host of other educational elements. And it's also going to be anchored with Dr. Rhoda Arundel out of St. Martin, as well as Dr. Carlisle Corbin. So that is probably why I put number 3.
And we want to reparation.
I know. I mean, there's so many elements of reparations. And this kind of lets us, and again, listeners, I'm saying it again, day passes are available for Virgin Islanders. Do not be offended if they ask you for ID, because anybody could come and say they're a Virgin Islander, as you know. And so we just, for the Secretariat's purposes, they might ask you to just flash something that shows you live. You do not have to bring your WAPA bill. We're just asking for ID, just so we know that you are a resident, because it's a significant savings from what, regular registrants and members have to pay. And we just are able to do this just primarily because of the type of support and the sponsorship. And I want to make sure I go through my little quick cheat sheet, because what people forget sometimes is that we could not have done this just on our own, right? Yes, CSA, through our membership, raising certain funds, having certain sponsors, we're able to do this, but we could not have done it with the type of finesse and engagement. I send a special shout out to our coordinator, like no other, on the ground, working with our local organizing committee, Cassandra Dunn. She's been a consultant that definitely a little bit direct, definitely making sure that we cover our logistic T's and cross our, notice I said logistic T's, and dotting all I's, making sure all S's are properly curved, right? So I'm very grateful for that. And alongside with the media production portion and just coordination of media by Brad Nugent and all the people that work with him. And we've been reaching out, of course, to the government station. We've had an opportunity to do some interviews with them, so I always send a special thanks to Earl Morris Sr. And on the backdrop of all of this has always been my former student, now an alumni of UVI, his son, Earl Morris Jr. of ENJ Productions. So I want to just kind of go through some of the supporters. Sugar Apple Bed and Breakfast, as well as Featherleaf, and we want to thank them for making some of the accommodations definitely more reasonable. And Tamarind Reef Resort Hotel, the Women's Coalition of St. Croix, as I've mentioned, the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts, the Carib Newsroom, and Let's Do It in the Caribbean. And they're in Jamaica offering us support here in the Virgin Islands. I want to highlight that, right? And that's made possible through our communication consultant, none other than Sister Queen Sharon Oshun Parish Chambers. We want to send a special thanks to Ms. Cartwright for really helping us to have a reasonable opportunity of rates for our CSA delegates at Carambola Beach Hotel Resort, and they have been very, very helpful in that regard, along with Icon Limited, again, a business, an enterprise in Jamaica, offering us not only financial support and supporting ads, but sharing this message throughout Jamaica and in their media networks. Our bronze sponsor, Creative Justice Initiative, as I've mentioned, under the direction of Dr. Marta Moreno Vega. They've assisted us in a variety of different areas, media engagements and connections, specifically between Puerto Rico and here, and the wider Caribbean as we build this Caribbean network. Our signature hotel, Company House, and the Caravel. I want to thank Ms. Bacchus, Kimberly Bacchus, for just being patient and making sure that we were able to provide, some reasonable accommodations for our delegates. The Virgin Islands Lottery Commission, under the direction of Director Raymond Williams, Mayor of Grove Place. I'm just saying, for helping us with, some of the banners, printing, publications, etc. The St. Croix Foundation for Community Development is one of our gold sponsors, along with the 175th Virgin Islands Emancipation Commission, and our platinum sponsors. And just so persons know, that's like 10 grand or more, right? And it can be in kind. I don't want people to think we just got like long money, because a lot of persons just made sure that expenses that needed to be covered were covered. And that's through the Office of the Governor, Albert Bryan. I want to thank him, his staff, all of the professionals, his protocol officer like no other, Eugenie Williams, for really looking at detail, making sure that ground transport, gala coordination, decorations, and all the other things that I know I forgot were not forgotten. Dr. Simone L. Palmer Wellness Center in Estate Smithfield, Frederickstead, St. Croix, have offered us that type of platinum sponsorship. I have mentioned the Research and Technology Park under the direction of Peter Chapman, made possible through the efforts of their Chief of Staff, Amina Salim. The Virgin Islands Department of Tourism, we're very grateful for their support and sponsorship, as well as the UVI Medical Simulation Center that provided us with some sponsorship in regard to being able to use the space of the very new, very professional medical simulation centers conference facilities. It's like a lot that's going on. So I'm going to share this piece that I keep saying over and over again, and people will probably get tired of hearing it. It's no secret that Caribbean culture and its diaspora are undergoing another renaissance. Our values, calls for self-determination, and engagement platforms are reaching a global audience more than ever. For people like us, CSA 2023 is designed to help future-proof the movement for the next generation of academics, artists, artivists, activists, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. So get involved by registering as our guest, as an exhibitor, or a conference sponsor. And let's renew those relationships this June 2023 and continue to celebrate the best of us. So I encourage persons to join us for CSA 2023 from June 5th to the 9th here on St. Croix in the beautiful cultural capital of the Virgin Islands. There's so much that, we want to be able to offer, because there's, at another point, we can actually go through some of the lists. I mean, there's persons, as I've said, from various institutions. We have representatives of the University of the West Indies coming to do a particular panel around Rastafari, and specifically around Rastafari having very strong groundings and representation like no other place in the world. I want to highlight this is coming from scholars at the University of the West Indies Mona campus in Jamaica, bigging up St. Croix for being at the center of Rastafarianism in terms of holding the culture, holding the narrative, strengthening the reggae tradition, amongst other pieces. And I think that speaks volumes, because they're bringing the data, the research, and this is coming through various centers, inclusive of their Rastafari Studies programs, their Reparations Center, their Cannabis Research Center. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we can bring some of these other things into the forefront.
And I just want to say this is a real clarion call for us to re-engage. One of the things that Dr. Chinzera and I have worked on is really a number of things we worked on, but I just want to, several things we work on. But us as a community, really getting back into the diplomatic space. Really, as we see that the conference is bringing together Caribbean folks, scholars, and activists, that is a real clear call to us as Virgin Islanders to see how we can get back into that, right? Start to really get into the situation where we finally achieve our associate membership with CARICOM. The Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, getting involved with that, because all of last week there was actually a virtual trade conference, and so many things going on around the space, around diplomacy, United Nations, the Organization of American States, the list goes on. And that's one of the things that I'm working with, because I think I have great influence around the younger generation, so that's why I'm focusing more on them. I do say these things to adults. Some of them, it just goes into ear one, come out the next. Persons like yourself, Doug, get it. Gerard gets it. Others get it. The importance of us, really addressing human rights, being engaged, connecting with the community. And so I really hope that as we have a conference outcome would be that we are continuing on that pathway so that we can really truly achieve reparations. And that's going to come, the fight is still on, the fight is still taking place. This coming, just coming up this week actually, is the second forum for the second permanent forum for people of African descent. And I'm really happy that Dr. Janzer and others like myself, we throughout the world actually, we're responsible for the advocacy that led to the creation of the permanent forum. Last year was its first. So we're also talking about delegation building, and even the craft of presenting at the international level. Like I tell folks, yes, you only have 3 minutes, and I've developed that craft because I've definitely represented Virgin at the international level. But we also have a media that also plays a part as well, right? Because as we speak about efforts and what's going on regionally, what's going on globally, it really be great to have more media surrounding the matters of our social issues, our justice issues, all tied to our quality of life. Because as we solve our critical socio-political issues, we will see a transformation on our basic rights in terms of, how we're dealing, because I look at it in this way too, a better educated public around even civic engagement. That's why my youth organization was formed, so that we can really chart the course of having young people, especially the upcoming generation, next generation, understand the importance of their voice, their youth voice, civics, and also to those who serve in both elected and appointed office. We have persons in appointed positions that impact our lives daily, and it's all tied to understanding who we are. The curriculum reform is necessary. Interestingly enough, last night through my research that I continue to do, the world is changing. This concept about integration and how to teach history and all that, you have tremendous efforts throughout the world where curriculum is being reformed in order to stop teaching children from a perspective of very where we're not teaching the children information enough for them to properly grasp it and to internalize it, especially when it comes to social and psychology around that. So we have our work cut out for us, because we're rebuilding a youth commission that I hope to see stand up before this year is over, because it is what it is. And then I'm working. Yes, I will keep on saying that. I'll say it, that I also reach out to the person responsible, Governor Bryan, and then to the Senate. I'm asking the Virgin Islands legislature to honor the young people's requests to move forward their youth senate. They are saying it, not just me, not just Genevieve Whitaker, former senator. This young people are saying they want their council to go ahead and have their meetings and do what they have to do. They did all the work in the last legislature, putting their committees together, getting organized, us working with them as the adults, and they're ready to go forward. Some of them are already, few of them are already adults, young adults. So that's what I have to share. And come on out to the CSA. Please spread the word. I did put in the comment section the beautiful promo video that Dr. Janzer and the team put together. And let's celebrate. We have a lot to celebrate. We're heading towards the emancipation. I'm glad for the efforts that has gone in, but I know for a fact that even post events, we got our work cut out for us. So thank you, Doug, for always having this space, because it's one show that I can definitely say that is always open to these important events.
I have a question for you, Doug. Is there anything that may have stuck out for you that you feel that we need to highlight in addition to go to the website CaribbeanStudiesAssociation.org?
No, really. I think that being out here on the circuit, so to speak, evangelizing the importance.
Ooh, that was a strong word.
Is I think what needs to be happening. So what needs to be done.
Right. Well, I want to highlight something that happened that complements what's going on with CSA, and it links to what our illustrious attorney Whitaker shared just now. Earlier this week, there was a Caribbean Civil Society preparatory conference for the second session of this UN Permanent Forum of People of African Descent. And I want to take a minute to just explain, because we're saying it like everyone knows. The United Nations in 2010 had the International Year for People of African Descent, and that was 2011. Yeah. And then there, with a lot of organizing, and we need to say that the Virgin Islands, whether we're in the UN actively, with CARICOM actively or not, through our non-governmental organizations, we're able to lobby and engage and present over the course of those years for the formulation of an international decade for people of African descent from 2014, 2015, and it closes December 2024 next year. And I'm sure there's many persons here in the Virgin Islands that were not familiar that the United Nations, by resolution, established an international decade for people of African descent with the theme of recognition, justice, and development. I'd like that to simmer for a second. And then, as more activities started happening, again, a lot of this is happening not only in Africa, not only in the 48 contiguous U.S. or Europe, but right in this Caribbean space, with a lot of activism, a lot of research, a lot of presentations from persons who were here in this studio. I want to highlight that. People listening to radio broadcasts and exchanges and dialogue and debates happening at the university, outside the university, inside of government spaces, outside of government spaces, and that led to the formulation, because this is where it's a little different. It's not just a resolution, it's an actual permanent forum. It's an actual permanent entity inside of the United Nations for people of African descent. And as quiet as it's kept, whether we align ourselves with the U.S. government or other parts of the Eastern Caribbean and Caribbean spaces, Spanish-speaking, Dutch-speaking, Papiamento-speaking, French-speaking, etc., we are people of African ancestry with indigenous Eurasian ties, of course, and we are needing to be a part of this voice, of this action. So this is an opportunity. They had their first meeting in December. And we, again, had representation there, and again, Attorney Whitaker can speak volumes to that. And, she has also registered as a delegate for the current second meeting. And this that I'm speaking of that happened this week was done in part by a number of organizations, inclusive of the Emancipation Support Committee of Trinidad and Tobago, inclusive of members from the Caribbean Pan-African Network, inclusive of this formulation of Caribbean-based, not-for-profit, non-governmental organizations that are making sure that there is a unified course of action that includes people of the Caribbean, of African ancestry, African descent. I like to say African ascent in this United Nations convening, because we know that the United Nations, and I've heard it from many leaders here, they have a history of not really doing that much, per se, for black people, African people, in terms of like teeth-bearing things. So this is giving us an opportunity, all these issues that we're speaking of, whether it's around criminality and security, education, no one should tell us about the narratives that we teach our children and our elders, nor should they limit our educators from teaching truth, right? So this particular...
And I would just quickly add to that. You find that when we're absent, when the Virgin Islands doesn't have that pressure applied. And I just want, before I say my next statement, I want to say, though, to Doug and listeners, a lot of work goes into a lot of these things in the background. People are also volunteering their time to ensure that these things take place. There were numerous meetings, morning, noon, and night, because we also cross time zones and stuff like that go into this. And so it is imperative that we as a community get engaged. Some of the topics that are covered at this international level is maternal health care, the fact that women of color are dying in hospitals, don't have the requisite care, and all of that. I had a situation, an encounter where the Secretary of State's office and those presenting didn't understand that we still don't have the right to vote, and a lot of issues that you should have an understanding of, and how that is all tied, and how we ourselves are, with the curriculum, are putting ourselves in a situation where we don't have the right tools and requisite tools to fight for our own rights. So it's really important that we dig in, that we do whatever we have to do. It's unfortunate some persons in certain positions don't have that understanding. So I think there should, there's a willingness that has to happen both on the younger generation, but also older generations who are holding these positions of influence and power, but are not using it well. We have a seat at the table at the United Nations that we've chosen not to continue to sit in, and that's highly problematic. Because I'll even give an example within opportunities. A lot of times, nonprofits, we have a difficult time oftentimes applying to different conferences. We've been largely successful in many ways. But when we have the government of the Virgin Islands non-participatory, we find ourselves where it's like, well, even your own local government doesn't care about your issues, and we find ourselves in that position. So the fight becomes even more grueling. It does. But the fight continues. I have not stopped my works, even during my Senate term, because all during my Senate term, I was having those, in addition to all my late night meetings and so on, I was also meeting late times to make sure that this permit took place and that the Virgin Islands is represented, because in all this huge, space, we are oftentimes even minimized. So we have to have a loud voice within the room, and I've made sure to continue to be that loud voice, along with Dr. Chinzira and others, that we are not stopping at these works, and it's going to continue. With your assistance and with your willingness to understand why we would need human rights teaching in our school system so that the next generation can continue to move forward, get away from the crime and violence, because it comes because of a hatred and stigmatization that comes with the status that we find ourselves in.
I just wanted to add that the reason why this becomes really important is because the issues that you raised were some of the issues that were raised in this Caribbean preparatory meeting that was hosted. I was invited to speak in my capacity as an executive council member in the Caribbean Pan-African Network that sits inside of the CARICOM Reparations Commission. I want to highlight that. That's the only reason that there was a Virgin Island voice representation in this particular Caribbean preparatory piece, because of what you said. We don't really have the formal engagement within CARICOM. We're still at the application level, and I'm really hoping that changes. But I wanted to list some of the other Caribbean civil society regions that were represented in addition to the Virgin Islands. Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, they included a representative from Canada that's from Barbados. I want to highlight that, right? The Bahamas, Guyana, Haiti, and again, Jamaica, and many of those representatives, they may reside in the 48 contiguous U.S., but they are from these Caribbean spaces, right? And then St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, of course, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Virgin Islands. And what we're hoping to be able to do, because if we notice, most of these are English speaking. So there was also representation, there were persons that were there from Haiti, there were persons that were sharing their voice from Guadeloupe, Martinique, right? Because these, as well as making reference to the representation of organizations like the Bonaire Human Rights Organization, which it's going to be powerful what's happening at CSA, because they're coming to present what they presented to the UN right here during CSA 2023 in St. Croix, June 5th to June 9th. I think it's important if persons are aware of the caliber of dignitaries that are coming. We have on our invitational list, and he's also part of a panel on addressing governance in this region, and that is none other than the Honorable Premier of the British Virgin Islands, Dr. Wheatley. I think people need to know the caliber of persons that are coming. We also have some of our own award-winning authors. I had mentioned Dr. Tammy Navarro before, but also Tiffany Unique. They're doing part of the leading into the author celebration, amongst others. And I think it's important for us to come and celebrate our homegrown scholars and artisans and artivists, and those homegrown of the Caribbean that are making this particular CSA 2023 a destination that's going to be not only historic and epic, but it's going to be quite far-reaching. I think that when you were talking about the themes that were raised, things like Pan-Africanism and decolonization in the Caribbean was at this preparatory piece. Reparatory justice and the Caribbean reparations movement, the significance of Caribbean-led data collection. They spent a whole 2 hours on talking about data collection and the importance of the research, what the data is being used for, how are we aggregating this information, and that in of itself, I did ask their permission so that some of those sharings, we're going to have like these short vignettes around the CSA 2023 so persons can just know what transpired and how that helps us. And then they had a whole piece on the health and people of African ancestry. And these were medical professionals that were sharing what the data is showing, what are some of the resolutions. We had people speaking from ACHEM, which is an association for cannabis health-related research and education and medical. And these are medically trained persons They weren't speaking of cannabis as a recreational piece in this context. They were speaking of it in terms of providing health solutions to help people of African ancestry in Caribbean spaces in the world to be able to reach some degree of wellness. I think that that's pretty much so what, we can definitely highlight will be coming through some of the programs. And the co-conveners, Reverend Kwame Kamau, alongside Dr. Vicky Casanova-Willis, they were exceptional and were able to give. This was a preparation conference that closed with what are the recommendations you're going to give to the UN. It wasn't just we just presented and talked. It was like, what are the active deliverables that we're anticipating can be sent as recommendations to the UN, things that can actually help people of African descent. So that's like one layer. And again, Caribbean Studies Association's 47th conference for the first time in 49 years here on the cultural capital Isle of St. Croix. A vibe like no other. I know tourism is going to really say that I'm pushing it more than some of their own, but I do. I think that's a wonderful tagline of St. Croix, a vibe like no other, because it is. And we have a very unique opportunity to share a variety of things as we speak about, offer solutions around transforming our Caribbean. So you'll see that hashtag transforming our Caribbean, hashtag all things CSA, hashtag CSA 2023, hashtag St. Croix, a vibe like no other. So we're encouraging persons to really be participatory in that. Yeah, definitely come out. Day passes, Virgin Islandos. It's not a free, but it's pretty close. So the day passes are available. And again, you can either email us at president@caribbeanstudiesassociation.org, or you can put in your requests on any of our social media pages, because those are responded to quite quickly. You can go to the Caribbean Studies Association on Facebook, and that way you can just because those are read every day, probably almost every hour, right? And I think that I want to just thank you, Brother Doug, for giving us an opportunity to share so much information. I just was I thought you might have started your questioning, but you didn't even question me anything, so I'm good. I guess I came prepared this time.
You always come prepared.
But I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful. I'm looking forward to people being able to have this experience and know that, yes, it's a lot of work and there's going to be some chat talking. That's what she didn't say. The film screenings, part of the sessions include art exhibitions, poster presentations, and film screenings. And one of our featured producers is none other than the award-winning Crucian Rican, how do we say it? Because I know you're listening, Joanna Bermudez Ruiz. Yes. So she's going to be showing actually two of her films during CSA 2023, and then there'll be Q&A around that. There's also a very new film called The Coal Laborers, done by Renee Green Productions out of the U.S., and she is coming to share that film short around the coal laborers of St. Thomas. And I think it's important, the first successful nonviolent protests in Caribbean history happened in St. Thomas on Main Street, September 12th, 1892. I'm gonna just leave that there. So there's going to be some wonderful underpinnings. And as I mentioned, Obi Egbuna is going to be showing a film produced by his students, all under 15 years of age, on mass emphasis and how we are to educate our young. I think that's profound. So I just want to make sure that persons know it's going to be fun. Cultural night at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. Can't wait. Give them a slice of St. Croix, a little bit of culture, some food, etc. And we're looking forward to that. And we know that we're going to be graced with the presence of the illustrious award-winning Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights at some of these events. That's the surprise. Did you get it? Act surprised when you come. Please act surprised. So we're looking forward to welcoming you. And I hope that Brother Doug will come in this capacity. Just come and have fun this time, because I know you always come and get ready to set up 90 cameras, but you can just come and be participatory if you like.
I'm sure you got the cameras covered.
I know, that's why I'm saying I want you to just come and enjoy. You always have to come and work. So be grateful. Be grateful.
Yeah, no questions, because it's more about the information
Okay, good, thanks.
getting out.
Okay, good, thanks.
Get you great job of getting the information out and continue on that path to make sure that between the 5th and the 9th, it's going to be a wonderful educational experience. Broaden the perspective of the people here in St. Croix. You know, every place you go, they have a tendency to become myopic as to where they are. It's always good to get that refreshing breeze that comes through and say, yeah, you know, there's this over here and that over there, and they're intertwined and related and different, and all at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel left out.
Why? You coming?
You
told
only
me I have to
invite
have-
him.
Wait. That's not. See, I invited you from the gate because
Yeah,
you're making sure that I do all my ADA compliance. So I'm grateful for that. No, because it's really important. Like, we reached out to VIU said, well, let me be specific. It's not just me doing this, right? So there's like a planning committee
Mhm.
that was reaching out to different agencies, and I realized that some persons, everything has come with a lot of costs, and we're doing our best to cover the costs as as successfully as possible. So that's why if you hear sometimes I'm saying, please come and support if you want to sponsor, if you want to exhibit, but persons have to recognize that our live line is really June 1st, because by that time, whatever's going to happen on the 5th, we have to already have everything set up. So like even our
Mhm.
programs are in that regard, having jump drives because the jump drive piece is really for persons that need the audio, right?
Mhm.
There was certain equipment that we were anticipating getting from VIU said, I don't know what the status is on that, but I know that you're going to make sure that I know what the status is on that by June 5th at 8:30. So I'm very grateful for you. No, otherwise it's going to be, I'm going to hear the stick. It's going to go tap, tap. I know. So we're
What's
working.
going on?
Yeah, well, no, I think that's really critical because that's something that, where you can, there's so much that you can do when you're doing things like at the University of the Virgin Islands, and then they have their own requirements of what has to happen in their space.
You know you can't get away from me now.
I know.
I have a smart cane.
Oh, see, okay.
So I'm going to find you.
I know you are. I already know. So, and I'm very grateful that you're really, even that it's of interest to you, because sometimes when we're doing these things, it appears, I really thought we were only going to have like about 75 to 100 persons that were going to come. And this is a conference that sometimes the membership can increase to over 500 persons. Like we're currently at almost 400 plus members, and this is like a low year. Sometimes our membership has gone over 1,000, right? And we've had conferences, for example, when we were in Haiti around 2015, 2016, it was over 1,000 delegates. So right now we have over 220 accepted presenters, right? And we're doing this in 5 days. So that's what come when people see. It's not like we don't want people to keep asking questions and do stuff, but like if you notice that someone says, we've got to go, we've got another panel, because we really have to be on top of time, right? So we're really hoping that persons will be able to come. You'll have some great opportunities for side discussions, conversations. There's going to be, we're making sure persons have opportunities to, go on historic heritage tours of St. Croix so they can experience St. Croix. We're making sure that we reach out and letting all of the restaurateurs know there will be an additional 200 people on the Isle of St. Croix from June. Well, actually, they're starting to come in from June 1st until on or about June 12th. So just know, if you start seeing a whole lot of unfamiliar faces coming asking for cruise and food or for just an experience at St. Croix, they're CSA 2023 delegates, right? So we're letting persons know. So please use the day passes, Virgin Islanders. If you're not a Virgin Islander and just desire to become a member and support CSA, be part of CSA. This is an opportunity for us to really take this transforming our career being forward, and we're looking forward to being able to welcome you. Thank you again so much.
All right.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. All right. Good thing. Great things happening here on St. Croix and these Virgin Islands and in the diaspora at the same time. Interrelated, different, all at the same time. Good thing. Wish you all success. I'm sure you're going to have your hands full with all of these folks coming in here, keeping everybody on time.
Doug and Gerard, good to see you as well.
All
Take
right.
care
Good to see you also. Okay.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Folks here at WSTX AM 970. Doing it with the... Yeah. Doing it. Okay. So, as we take it one day at a time, could be OK Studies Association from the 5th through the 9th, the conference going on right here on St. Croix, 47th International Conference, right here on St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. Yes, all kinds of people of renown gonna be here presenting, screening videos, all types of interesting stuff. It is your Caribbean after all, so mark your calendar and plan to attend. All right, good thing. So let's take a quick minute, get something in between here, and then we'll be right back and close out with some things from the community calendar. All right, sounds like a plan. All right, the fire is lit, folks. The fire is lit. So enjoy the warmth. All right. Um, the AARP Movies for Grown-Ups is screening About My Father. It's the title on Friday, the 26th. So that's going on. The 26th to the 28th this weekend again. You've got the Lionfish Derby that's going on, and they've got a guaranteed minimum purse of $7,500. I'm sure it's gone up since then. I haven't talked with anybody. I want to let you know that Cruiser and Rum Distillery West End Community Cleanup is on the move, folks. Yes, it's on the move. and they're going to meet at the Kmart West parking lot at 7 a.m. and then they're going to be on the road at 7:30. Yes, volunteers are needed to help remove trash, tires, and debris from our roadsides. Yes, kit with gloves, mask, and water bottles will be provided to all participants. So, Cruise and Rum, in partnership with VI Waste Management Association and Shane Trucking, they're going to be doing it. They're going to be doing it, yes, this weekend. The Cruise and Rum Distillery West End Community Cleanup, folks. Get involved. It's your St. Croix. All right. All right. Then on the 28th, you have the Memorial Day group ride by the Virgin Islands Cycling Federation, and they're going to be meeting at the Sunny Isle Annex to go out on this group ride. Yep. Then we've got also on the 28th, we've got the No Woman No Cry Trail. Yes, the St. Croix Hiking Association on the move, folks, with Olassie Davis.
We think a hiking trail called No Woman No Cry.
Hey, you know, I know the man them must be being strong or something. That's why it is. Or they're too proud to cry.
Something going on there.
Okay, now folks, there's a real property tax auction sale, and that was originally planned for the Great Hall here at the University of the Virgin Islands at 8:30 a.m. Apparently the interest is such that they moved over to the complex, to the whole auditorium of the complex, because they had just that need to accommodate that many more people. So go to the Lieutenant Governor's Office website where you can find the list of properties that are on auction as well as other information. Okay, good thing, good thing. The Kiwanis Club of St. Croix, they are hosting a golf scramble at the Reef Golf Course. Yes. Sunday, June 4th, with 8 a.m. registration, 9 a.m. start, and it's benefiting the Claudio Marco Elementary Playground. Okay? Yep. You want some more information about that? You can contact Liz at 517-282-1273. That's contact Liz at 517-282-1273. Okay, and then there's the summer's coming up. We got all kind of camps going on. There's a sewing camp that's going to be going on for ages 3 through 12, and it's going to be fun. Yep. Okay, so this is Stitch in Time is doing this, and you can contact them at 340-692-4660, 340-692-4660. Okay, for information and registration. Okay, Caribbean Dance Company. Yep. They're having their student showcase 2023 performance, and that's going to be at the St. Croix Educational Complex High School, and right there on Central Line, and the general admission is $20. Come out and see our young people show off their dancing skills. And then just keep in mind, coming up on July, we have the Folk Life Festival coming up, starting I believe the 26th of June, going all the way through the 3rd of July. And then later on that July, you've got Mango Melee. All right, Mango Melee. Yep, on the 9th. And then, of course, I'm hearing rumblings about Come Home to St. Croix at the WIM, the Landmark Society grounds there at the in WIM. All right, so all kind of good things going on. The St. Croix Superior Court Rising Stars has a summer recruitment program going on for ages 10 through 13, and that starts on June 12th. So if you're interested, your child is interested, make sure. Yep. Okay, and then there's a beach cleanup planned for June 17th, the Spring Bay Beach cleanup. Yeah. All right, Friends of St. Croix East End Marine Park inviting you to participate, and that's Saturday, June 17th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and the location is Spring Bay, South Shore. Yep, good thing. And then June 18th, I gotta get this one in the right place. June 18th, Pate Festival, folks. Yep. Come and don't leave the stomach at home because they're gonna have all kind of good pate out there for you to partake. All right, good thing. Yep. Folklife Festival is going to be ram-packed. Starts the 24th, okay? And the first 2 days, the 24th and 25th, are at the WIM Museum. And both gates run from 12 noon to 5 p.m. They're going to have all kinds of stuff going on the 24th. Storytelling, Moko Jumbi's quadrille, maypole dancing, carisol, singing, drumming, crucian cooking, woodworking. Then on the 25th, masquerade mask making, traditional Quail Bay and masquerade music, crucian cooking, quadrille head ties, and woodworking. All right, folks, it's about that time. I hope you've done your random act of kindness here, and your premeditated ones. All right, so yes, love's in need of love every day. So see you here next week, same time. Creator willing. Take care.